October marked a record month for recreational cannabis sales across our state. According to data from the Cannabis Control Division, retailers sold more than $25 million worth. The two previous months topped out at $24 million. Ed, are you surprised at all? The demand does not seem to be decreasing. It's actually increasing. We're not talking about, June, July. We're talking about fall. You know what I mean? Everything just seems to be selling crazy here. What's going on?
Well, it's new. It's something new, and I think just like anything that's new, I think there are a lot of people that are trying it out. Or anecdotally, they're hearing stories about how it may help with anxiety, how it may help with your sleep, or the oils, or things of that sort. And I think it's just gaining some interest. And I think so. I think you have a lot of that. Your first timers who are kind of curious about it. And we'll see where it goes. I tend to think that we're going to continue to see this growth before it levels off.
Interesting.
It's the people who are growers and manufacturers and retail sellers of it are making a lot of money. But I think the jury is still out as to what are the unintended consequences. What are the misuses of this? Production or whether addiction is involved or other things of that sort. What are going to be the societal costs? So there's this big excitement over the fact that there's some employment and there's a tax additional monies in the taxpayers' coffers and things of that sort. But I think the jury is still out as to really what that means. But again, I think my understanding was there was also that spike during that period that of the balloon fiesta. You had many individuals from visiting from out of state going, hey, let's it's legal here, recreational, so let's try it out. So I'm wondering what that contribution to those numbers might be. And
you don't have to advertise these things overtly for people to figure it out. You know what I mean? Michael, just a little more, and for the folks at home, we're talking about 507 dispensaries. I think that might be shocking to most folks. We have 507 at an average of $43 a purchase. 875,504 transactions took place in a month. A month. It's really phenomenal. Is weed just that popular? It's incredible when you think about it.
Well, I guess I'd say there were more than balloons going up during the balloon fiesta. But I guess I think that Merritt had referenced earlier about all of the issues that the nation and the world, in fact, is facing. Global warming, the war in Ukraine, inflation in this country, all of these, a host of issues, and issues that impact New Mexico and Albuquerque. So I'm kind of wonder if some of these recreational folks are just sort of saying like, maybe this is cheaper and better than Zoloft or other sort of antidepressants and other sort of medications, and kind of curious how that. But the one question, has anybody been looking at how much revenue this has generated for the state in terms of taxes?
Yes. Yeah. We can do that too. Let me kick it over to my lady right over here. To that very point, the state has pulled in or is due to pull in well over $10 million. 10 million. But what's interesting, the legislature hasn't appropriated any cannabis tax money. And there's been some House Majority Leader Javier Martinez signaling there may not be an aggressive push, to create recurring appropriations from the cannabis tax. Are they making a mistake here? Folks are looking for the money, so to speak, here.
Well, I think it's a challenge because, one, we're 6 months into this, and two, this is an agricultural commodity. And so I think, we have some maturity, and we've been tracking oil and gas revenues for decades. And so even with a mature market like that, tracking commodities and commodities markets are volatile.
Right.
And being dependent on a commodities market is a roller coaster ride. We see that in our state economy and our state tax revenues. That's why we have a permanent fund to be able to manage that. So I think 6 months in with an agricultural commodity that is much more vulnerable because of just how crops are vulnerable. And we don't know what this market is going to be like because it's brand new. We're 6 months in. I think to try and program state purchases against this would be it's a little premature for that.
But let me ask you, part of the sell of this was municipalities were going to get their share of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Aren't they going to be clawing for something this coming session?
Oh, I think so. I think so. But I think it's going to be kind of more like extra cash raining down more than something you actually plan for and budget for. I think we've got to be a good 5-10 years into this before this is something that's actually programmed and budgeted for, because we've got to be able to track year over year sales and demand, and growers are going to have to be able to plan for Balloon Fiesta, plan for, who knows, maybe when everyone goes to Santa Fe during the legislature, sales are going to spike in Santa Fe.
I'm laughing, but I'm not. As logic holds, that would probably happen. Ed, one of the little weird anecdotes that's happening here, that's medical sales are either flat or dropping. And I'm curious if anybody has a theory about that, or folks just buying recreation to take care of their medical needs and not bothering,
I imagine that that's what's happening, because it's easier to go the recreational route. I mean, there are some prohibitions if you have it for medicinal purposes. There may be some prohibitions to carrying a firearm, for example. You may not be able to do that. There are certain questions you have to answer on the application, and it's so much easier just to go the recreational route, right? You're able to avoid that additional step and those additional questions and those additional prohibitions that might apply to strictly the medicinal use. And so
I got to wonder, on your point, if folks who were in the program were frustrated. Because it was a new program. There were a lot of bumps and grinds getting the medical thing off the ground. Now that they have a choice, maybe they're just saying, you know what, I don't need the aggravation. I'm just going to go down the street to XYZ and
the path of least resistance.
Exactly.
It's so much easier. They no longer have to jump through these hoops, through these other legal hoops, because it's so much easier. So that's right. So I can see probably more of that in the future. We're going to see those numbers continue to drop as the word continues to get out there that it's just so much easier for many to do the recreational route.
Yep. Michael, I'm going to use the phrase, thank goodness for Texas. Because the notes I'm seeing here seems to be Texans in Sunland Park, $1.5 million from recreational. Hobbs, a record-breaking month, $1.7 million. This is in a month. Clovis, $731,000. Just please stay illegal in Texas, and we'll be doing great in our border cities. They've got to be thrilled down there, though. It's a lot of money for these communities.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And what does that say about the state of mental health and for Texas? Excuse me, sorry, Texas.
Right. Yep. Merritt, has the governor proved a point? I got a quote here. We've established a new industry that is already generating millions of dollars in local and state revenues and will continue to generate millions more in economic activity across the state, creating thousands of jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Has she proved her point here? She had promised 11,000 jobs. That looks like it's going to happen. They had promised, I think it was 250 million. I'm not quite sure what the actual number was. Looks like it might happen. I mean, she's the one that got this across the finish line.
I don't think there was ever a question about the economic benefit. I think there was a question about how to do this from a regulatory perspective, how to do it equitably between the smaller growers and the large established growers, and how to manage it from a behavioral health perspective. And we saw this getting pushed through. It took, 3 sessions to get it through. General, special. And I'm still not sure that we're covered from a regulatory perspective, because, industrial regulation is not something we do well in New Mexico. And so I think there may still be some work to be done from a regulatory perspective and managing it as a state.
Right. Ed, I mentioned the 507 dispensaries. Not all of them are going to make it through. That's business. And at some point, we're going to have some consolidation. That's business as well. Is there a fear that we can end up being like big tobacco, like a big 6 or 7, and all the other little guys bought out? Because they're going to cash out to some big money. It's going to be almost irresistible for a small player to want to cash out. Is that a concern in this game?
I think it's a very probable reality, right? We just have to look at the tobacco market over the decades going back, and I foresee the same thing happening here. You're right. It's going to be survival of the fittest. Who can make it? And again, the big dogs in town are going to watch to see who the strongest retail distributors are.
That's right.
And they have the wealth and the means to buy them out. And again, as you mentioned, Gene, It's just business, and so yeah, that's fairly foreseeable. And you know how long that takes. It may take a year, 2, 3 years for things to shake out.
Just a couple seconds on this, Michael. Has there been enough representation in ownership for this new largesse? We don't have numbers on who owns these 507. Are they native? Some native owned, some African American owned, some women owned. We need a breakdown on that kind of thing, don't we?
Well, I think we need to be breaking down a lot of things in a lot of areas in New Mexico in terms of representation, and I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah. We'll have to see in that shakeout who survives and who actually cashes out, so to speak. Interesting subject.